What do you do if your money feels like a mystery? Or maybe it's less of a mystery and more like a monster in the closet that you've tried to shut away, that you barely open, and you're really afraid to let it out. Well, in this episode, we are going to be tackling the first of two phases of us talking about managing your money. The first phase is taking the mystery out of your money. It's the most important way to start when it comes to managing your money is figuring out exactly what it is happening. So this episode is going to tackle exactly that. And then the second phase, we are actually going to be doing in the form of a live free training. We are going to be talking about how to not only know what's happening in your money, but how to strategically manage it so you can make more of it. And we are doing this on August 23rd. We're doing the 6-figure creator training. And we're going to be talking about 3 pillars of how to craft a profitable business. And we're going to be talking about managing money. We're going to be talking about how to strategically use it and how exactly the system we use to be able to succeed.
Yeah,
Literally the system.
The exact same system. It's going to be so fun. So we'd love to invite you to that. Our whole community is going to that. You're invited. If you're new to the show, welcome. We're so glad you're here. This is a weekly podcast where we talk about business because we believe that the more you understand business as a creative, the more you can actually grow your business as a creative. And so that's what we're trying to do here at Creativ Rise is build a world where more people just like you, yourself, more people like us, creatives, actually succeed while doing what we love.
Yeah.
Christy's got a wedding photography business, pivoted to being a brand photographer. I had an agency doing photo, video, marketing stuff, and it's now a brand strategy agency. And we have a ton of fun sharing the things we learn along the way when it comes to growing our own creative businesses. And we'd love to do so on this next free training that we're doing. It's going to be so epic. Whole community's invited, and that includes you.
We love free trainings. It's
so
like the
good.
Funnest thing we do.
Oh, the energy's so high. It's so good to see everybody who listens to the show like in person and get to actually like converse with people more and see friends. It's going to be great. Yeah.
Tell them how they can quickly register just in case they want to do it right before. Yeah,
creativrise.com/6-figure creator, or just go to the link in the description of the show and this podcast, or whether you're watching on YouTube, you'll find that link there. It's one simple click, and then you can just input your info. That way we can email you the link right away and give you updates to make sure that you show up, because it's only as good as the information is only as good as if you actually show up and put it to use. So can't wait to see you there.
So on today's episode, right now, what you're listening to, we're going to be talking that phase 1, taking the mystery out of your money. And if you're someone who feels money guilt around this, you are someone who kind of shoves it into a closet, we want to say this is a safe place. Don't be guilty in this episode, because everyone's guilty at some point in their life of mismanaging their money or just not even knowing what's happening in their money, and they might actually be doing a great job with their money. So we hope that this is an encouraging episode for you. We're going to be talking about there are 4 transitional times where money can start to feel out of control for creatives. And the first one is, Joey, you want to hit us with it?
Yeah, it's a big shift.
Yes.
I have this conversation all the time with friends of mine who are employees, and they either want to start working for themselves or they make the jump and they start working for themselves. And here's the difference. There's a huge difference between earning money as an employee and earning money as a self-employed person. And the difference is how you receive the money in terms of tax.
Yes.
When you are an employee, your paychecks come to you and you get what's left after they've already paid taxes on it, right? When you're self-employed, you get the full sum of the money, and then you're due to pay taxes at the end of the year or quarterly or however you have it set up. And so there's a huge difference. Self-employed people get the full sum of their money, then have to pay taxes by themselves. And then employed people get only what they are given after their presumed taxes. And so when you're first going from being an employee to becoming a self-employed individual as a creative business owner, it's a huge transition to go, whoa, like I'm getting all of my money rather than only getting what I'm supposed to be getting after tax now. How do I manage it properly in order to pay my taxes properly? What am I even getting taxed? There's a lot of questions that come up there, but that's the first biggest transition.
Yes.
Is going from an employee to a self-employed individual, and the differences there on how you get paid.
Yes, and the second transition a lot of creatives face, finding themselves feeling like their money is mysterious, is that they've gone from making less than $35,000 to over $35,000. Now, this is like a pivotal spot because it kind of goes, hey, this was like my side hobby, and now this is like an official thing. Like you're making like an actual full-time income with this side hobby. So now this is a lot of times when people choose to go full-time or they really ramp it up, you're making more money, you haven't decided what to do with it. That is a pivotal sign that, hey, maybe things are getting a little bit murky if you hit that spot.
Yeah, the third transition that is also, again, a mysterious place for money is typically when you start making good money. When you start making six figures as a creative, or anything close to six figures, if you're not used to making that type of money, it's pretty mysterious on like, what do I do with this extra money? What do I do with, the tax? What do I do with potential sales tax, depending on what state I'm in? Does my state charge that? Like, there's so many questions, right? So understanding as you make more money, that's a big transition, and it's mysterious a lot of the time for a lot of people.
Yeah, and then the last transition is you've had a big life change. Like whether you had a baby, you bought a house, you moved, what did you do? Like a big expense that you weren't thinking was coming came, can often leave you feeling like, what the heck is happening with my money? I'm confused, whatever.
Yeah, so that's 4 transitions, but even more mysterious. Maybe you just grew up in a house that didn't talk about money. Maybe you didn't grow up in a house that really had a good understanding of money. Yeah. Maybe you did. Your parents were financially literate, but they didn't teach you about it. All of us didn't grow up in a school that taught us money for the most part,
Absolutely
right?
Not.
Schools don't teach it. Because schools don't teach it, your parents didn't probably teach it to you because they didn't learn it either, and they're just trying to figure it out as well. So for the most part, money is always mysterious because we didn't grow up learning about it, and so it feels weird when you start a business as a creative and you're going, shoot, I've now got to figure out how this money thing works, right?
Yeah.
So if that is you, do not feel money guilt, okay? Money is not inherently bad. It is just a neutral substance object. It's literally not a substance object, a substance or an object. It's literally just a positive thing or it's a negative thing. You can use it for good. You can use it for bad. It's a tool. It's a tool that enables you to do great things, we believe, like giving, being able to take care of your family when you own a business, and lots of other stuff, giving you the lifestyle you want. It does not have to be mysterious. And that's what the goal of this podcast is. It's going to help you guys navigate that.
Yes, let you control your money rather than have you control you. So we'll get a little bit personal. We love just opening up the curtain into our lives. We feel like that's some of the most helpful things is often just learning and seeing other people's experiences. So we'll get personal for a second. Joey and I actually just went through this system, this phase of taking the mystery out of your money ourselves. Literally just this last month. We both went through a pretty big transition. We bought a house, which was a big thing for us to, get going. It's a big thing for anybody. It changes things.
We merged 2 companies into a new country, which was a huge transition.
Yes, we did a bunch of transitional stuff, and we both started feeling our money's feeling a little mysterious. Not we feel bad about things, but just we don't really have a super solid understanding of what's going on.
There's a lot of moving parts, and we got to get more clarity on all the parts because there's a lot going on right now.
Exactly.
That's what we were feeling.
And so we did something that honestly was so simple. It took one day to do, and it led to having so much clarity and confidence. I feel like I went into the conversation feeling kind of nervous, what's going on, and I left feeling so good about where we are. Honestly, because we did this system, I realized our income was substantially more than we were anticipating it being, which is an awesome thing to have. We just were able to help a lot of people this year. We had some new opportunities come up. That was awesome. This system also helped us realize we have actually more money to be able to give. So we set up a whole new giving plan we're going to do at the end of the year that we're stoked on. And then we also saw some areas that we could financially improve ourselves on, which was also awesome.
Yeah, I mean, anytime you look at the data, it shows you opportunities for change.
Numbers don't lie, folks.
Math is the path.
Numbers don't lie. We were also able to quantify what our new tax bill is going to be so that we're not shocked at the end of the year when that comes up. And we just left feeling so confident and honestly excited and encouraged about where were we at just because we looked at the numbers. So this conversation is a game changer.
Yeah, so this conversation is not always easy to have if you do not know how to have it properly, though. So we want to talk about a couple of different ways that you can walk through this conversation by yourself, with a business partner, with a spouse, whatever it's going to be. Again, this conversation only takes a couple of hours. But it will take the mystery out of your money. And you need to have this conversation, again, with yourself, your spouse, or a business partner. So step number 1, okay? Carve out 3 to 4 hours. That's all it's going to take. Uninterrupted hours, no distractions, just you and the money, you and the numbers, okay? And get your spouse or your business partner, whatever it's going to be, throw a little music on if you're by yourself, get into the mood, just start looking at the numbers. All you need, step 1, is just carve out some intentional time. That is step one of taking the mystery out of your money.
Yes. And step number 2 of our system is start by finding your projected revenue. So now that you're not an employee, again, you're getting your revenue, everything that you make, not the profit, everything that you make. So make sure you get all of that dialed and then forecasted for the year as well, whether you have retainer clients. Maybe you can even opt in for like if someone drops out or you add someone new. Realistically go, what am I going to make this year, and list it all out. And then include the entire paycheck. Don't try to take out taxes or expenses. Don't do that yet.
It's revenue.
This is the time to do revenue. And again, this isn't like moonshot goal time. This is realistic time. That's number 1.
What did
That's
you
number
make
2.
last year? Figure it out and project if there's like a realistic projection for the year. So the reason why you want to start with finding what you will be making is that way then you can look at what you will be losing, right?
Spending.
And so number 3 is figuring out your hard costs. Now, a hard cost is a cost that no matter what, you have to pay every single month. So whether or not you and I want to go eat Italian tonight at a really fun restaurant we love after this podcast episode, that's not a hard cost. That's a variable cost. We're going to talk about those. Hard costs are things like rent, your car bill, what you have to pay every single month for insurance. Okay, business subscriptions. Do you have any employees on salary? Like all of those things are hard costs that will guaranteed be withdrawn from your account every single month. You got to calculate those things, okay? So calculate all of your hard costs, give them a total so that you know exactly what is going out the door guaranteed every single month.
And what I like to do is separate business and personal. So do it for both. Because again, it's all your money, right? It's not like you have the business side and the personal side. This is all yours and you have to manage your money out of it. And then number 4 is find your variable costs, the Italian costs. These are costs that fluctuate.
Chicken parm costs.
The chicken parm and the pesto gnocchi. These are costs that fluctuate from month to month. So this tends to usually be more around like wants and things like that. But this would include things like groceries, eating out, shopping, entertainment, other business expenses that just like fluctuate from month to month. And the best way to calculate this is to take your last 3 months of spending and see if you can find an average. So you might be like, oh, this month I ate out way more than last month. Try to get like a range of months and find an average.
Yeah, so now you've calculated your revenue, which was number 2. Number 3 was calculate your hard costs, which is what's going out the door every month guaranteed. And number 4 is calculate your variable costs. Now you've got to figure out the math, okay? What is your income, which is your revenue, to expenses ratio, right? And that's going to give you whatever your profit's left over. But what is your income to expense ratio, your income to debt ratio? So how you do that is you go personal and business, split these two things up. What does my business make every single month? And what does it spend every single month? What is my income to expense ratio? Then you go over to the personal side. What am I paying myself out of my company? What am I making personally every single month? And what are my personal expenses every single month? What is my income to debt, income to expense ratio there? Both for business and personal. Understanding this is where everything starts to click. This is where the mystery seems to disappear. The veil gets lifted up because for so many people, they don't know how much money they're making every month and they don't know how much money they're spending every month. Figuring out how much money you're making and figuring out how much money is going out the door and you're spending every month gives you a very clear picture. And ideally, I hope you're going to look at those numbers and go, oh my gosh, I'm good. Yeah. This is good. If I continue at a pace like this where I make a few subtle shifts, I'm going to be in a really good spot. At least that's the case for us, right? It's a great reminder that every time we do this income to debt ratio thing to go, wow, like we are moving in a good direction. Yeah. We have enough money to give. We have enough money to set aside money for our future, different investments that we want to make. But we only know that that is possible because of step number 5, which is figure out your income to expense ratio. So you got to do that. Please do that.
Yes. And once you figure that out, you can then move on to step number 6, which is calculate your tax bill. So you need to find out a rough number around what you are going to owe both federally and state taxes, 2 different things, right? So you can, again, taxes are determined not on your revenue, not on the money you fully make. It's determined off of what you keep. So your profit after all the expenses are paid, you are then taxed on what is left over. So you guys can't stress this enough. If you do not have an accountant, I would say get an accountant. You might be like, at what point should I get an accountant? Right now.
When you start a business.
Right now is the time that you should be getting an accountant. So we've got other resources on tax stuff that we're happy to chat through. But again, accountant is going to know best. So find an accountant, guys.
Yeah, and it's also important that we stress that you calculate your tax bill after you understand your income to debt ratio.
Yes.
Because, again, you're not getting taxed on what you make, what your business makes. You're getting taxed on what your business keeps, what it profits, right? And so it's important to understand both personally and on the business side, what am I making and then what am I keeping? Because you get taxed on what you keep. That's why we calculate our income to expense ratio, or income to debt ratio, you can call it, before we start looking at our actual tax bill. Now, you then run the math. This is where you now go, okay, we took our income to debt ratios, income to expense ratios on the personal side and the business side, and we figured out what we'd be left with at the end of the year. Now we just figured out what tax bill we're going to have to pay off of that. That is going to give you a final number. It's going to give you a final number that you're left with at the end of the year after all of your revenue has been made, all your money's been made, all of your expenses have been paid, all of your write-offs on the business side have been accounted for, and you have profit on the business side and profit on the personal side. You're left with a number, and that's actually your money that you're taking home every single year, post-tax, post all that stuff. So it is so important you run the math. Make sure you look at your revenue, again, which is what you make. You look at what you spend, which is your expenses, and then what you can then invest based off whatever you've got left after you pay your taxes, right? So running the math is so crucial to know your numbers. I say this all the time. I will say it again. Math is the freaking path. I know not everybody loves numbers, but numbers give you clarity, and clarity then gives you confidence. And the best way to take the mystery out of your money as a creative business owner is by getting clarity. It gives you confidence because you've taken the mystery out of money, and you feel so much better about running your business.
Yes. So you guys, phase 1, not that hard, right? You can do it. Phase 1 is awesome to just take the mystery out of money, but you don't stop at phase 1.
Phase 1 is all of those 7 steps.
Yes,
right?
phase 1 is the 7 steps of what we just talked about.
And let's run over them one more time just to be really, really clear.
Go for it.
Because I know we just listed a lot really quick. So number 1 is carve out 3 to 4 hours of uninterrupted time to figure all this stuff out. That's step number 1. This is what Christy and I do. Step number 2 is find your projected revenue, calculate it all, make sure it's very clear. Number 3 is find your hard costs. What's going out the door every single month? Number 4, find your variable costs. What are the things that go out the door every month, but they're not like guaranteed, and it variables a little bit. So find like the 3-month average, figure out what your variable costs are for both your business and your life. Then you want to run your expenses to income ratio. Take your revenue and subtract whatever your variable costs and hard costs are to make sure you get a number. That number is then going to determine, which is number 6, how you calculate your tax bill. Once you calculate your tax bill, you can figure out what you're going to have to pay in taxes, which means you can then run the math on all of that, and it will tell you what you're going to be left over with at the end of the year, which teaches you what you can give or what you can invest, and it tells you how your financial situation is. Is it good? Are you moving in the right direction? Bada boom, bada bing. That is phase 1. When we say phase 1, that's phase 1 that you have to accomplish.
Yes, and once you have phase 1, you're going to be aching for phase 2, because phase 2 is all about applying the strategy to your money so you can make your money do great things for you.
Managing it well.
Managing it well, investing it well, all that kind of stuff. It's going to be so, so cool. We're really excited for phase 2. Phase 2 is the reason we have literally anything we have, like the lifestyle we get to live, the way we get to give, the way we get to do things, is because of this strategy that we are going to be giving on this live training. There's a lot of people that make a lot more money than us
100%.
that have actually a lot less than us because they just simply don't know how to manage it. And that's one of the most heartbreaking things.
You can make $1 million a year and spend $990,000. I mean, literally be left with $10,000. And that, you'd be surprised, that's more common than you think, right? It's because people don't know how to manage their money. The same reason why there's people who make $50,000 for 40 years of their career, yet they're left with millions when they retire because they manage their money well.
And a little hint on what the strategy is going to be about. It's not about saving more. It's not about how do you not spend anything. It's actually how do you spend really well to make your financial future as profitable as possible.
Which sounds weird, but we will explain it all. And I promise you it's going to be so helpful. Every time we break down phase 2, this money management system, people's minds are blown. We actually call it our 6-figure money management system, and we've taught it to a bunch of people in Creativ Rise before, inside of the mastermind, in some private retreats, friends, and they're just blown with how easy it is. It's been a system that I developed, I don't know, like 6 or 7 years ago, and I've followed it to the T every day since then, and it is literally so helpful.
It's so life-changing.
We get so much confidence from it. So we'd love to give it to you August 23rd, 4:30 Pacific Standard Time. We are running a completely free Our Gift to You call. Whole community is invited. We will see you there. We want you to be there. We're not just covering money. We're going to be covering this phase 2, but we're also covering 2 other things that are incredible, crucial pillars to running a successful 6-figure business as a creative business owner. And I want you to get all 3 of those pillars. I want you to be able to understand them and implement them. And I want you, most importantly, to get there, be encouraged by a bunch of people on this call, be inspired by the people that are doing really cool things on this call. I just want you to be plugged into the community deeper than just listening to the show every single week. And this is a phenomenal way to do it. So August 23rd, 4:30 Pacific Standard Time. All you got to do to register for that for free is go to creativrise.com/6-figure creator, or just go to the link in the description of this podcast or this YouTube video, and you'll find it there as well. We cannot wait for that. And that's literally next week. It's so soon.
And if you register, like if you've never been on one of our live calls before, this is not like a, hey, just turn your camera off and just listen while you cook dinner. Like, our community shows up. Cameras on time, asking questions. Like, it is such an encouraging spot to be in. It's so energizing. So show up fully if you are coming. Show up on time, camera on, ready to ask questions. We're just going to dive into it and get after it.
It's going to be so good.
It's so cool.
And last but not least, guys, we are under a week away. The same date, actually, we are going to leak an email to the people that are on the wait list for the 10th round of the Creativ Rise Mastermind, because we have got over 250 people on the Creativ Rise Mastermind waitlist for 35 spots.
It's insane.
Of the next round of the Creativ Rise Mastermind. If you don't know what that is, that's our signature 6-week program. We've been running it since 2019. It is the best place on the internet, we believe. At least that's the goal that we're trying to make it. The best place on the internet for you to learn in community as you're being held accountable how to build your own profitable, successful, creative business. Ideally, one day to cross the 6-figure mark. Creativ Rise exists to help creatives just like you build a world where you're succeeding while doing what you love, and the mastermind is the best way to do that. We go through 6 weeks of content, 6 weeks of accountability, and 6 weeks of community calls that really dial you in on the important stuff. We do not get into the stuff that doesn't matter. We try our best to make sure we focus you on the things that actually help you build a business and totally remove you from all the distractions that we all get caught up in if we're not being held accountable to really focus on the things in business that actually help it grow. So a couple quick things, like right off the bat. Week number 1, all about brand. Building a really good brand identity. We actually talk about money quite a bit in week 1 too. And we talk about what your vision plan for the next 6 weeks and 6 months is for your creative business. That's all week 1. Week 2 is all about offers. Developing a really strong offer that people want to work with you on. People want to say yes to you on because you're solving problems for them, whether you're in the wedding space, whether you're in the commercial side. Week 3 is all about networking. So how do you actually then take what you're willing to sell, your business is selling, take it to the market? Week 4 is all about marketing that now. So how do you run lead generation? How do you actually connect with people? How do you pitch brands? How do you cold email people, cold DM people, cold call people? We talk about all those different things. Week 5 is all about scaling all of those things with systems. Week 6 is about doing those in a healthy way. We could teach you all those things in week 1 to 5. If you cannot figure out how to do it in a healthy way, where there's some flow to it, you're going to burn out, and we do not want that for anybody. We've both done that in our own career. So week 6 is all about that. You tie all of that together, and that is the foundation for a phenomenal 6-figure business. And most importantly, when you're doing that with 35 other business owners at the same time, it becomes like a family. You're held accountable to take the steps that you signed up to take, and your business actually grows, which is so cool. So the last round did $414,000 of cash collected deals in 6 weeks, guys. 35 businesses who are all under the 6-figure mark and are aiming to grow their businesses to 6 figures. In 6 weeks, 35 businesses did $414,000 in deals. It was insane. Round 9 was a hit. Round 10 is going to be incredible. We cannot wait. There's so many people on the wait list. So if you have any interest in being in on this next round with Christy and I and the rest of the team here at Creativ Rise and the 34 other businesses that you're going to be surrounded by, you've got to go to get on the wait list. If you're listening to this after the 23rd, well, the wait list opportunities are over, but you can still join if there's spots. It typically fills up with the wait list, but make sure you DM us on Instagram ASAP or just click on our social. We'll be giving updates on how many spots are left before we start on September 10th.
Yes, September 10th.
So exciting.
6 weeks.
Oh my gosh, I'm so pumped.
Woo!
This fall is just going to be an incredible time for everybody. And fall is a great time to build a business. I always found growing up, fall was always a time where my business has always seen the most growth every year. I don't know why that is. I just feel like
it's
fall.
because the new office supplies comes out in the stores.
It feels like fall just fires everything
School
up. So
supplies.
this mastermind is going to be such a good way for you to take advantage of that, because you're actually going to get the skills, tools, knowledge, tips, community, accountability to take advantage of the fall rush and end 2023 so strong. So
Love it.
Cannot wait.
Guys, thanks for listening. We'll see you on phase 2 on August 23rd, and we'll see you then.
See you then. Bye-bye.